Bang. All right.
Kind of heavy.
Welcome back to my channel, people. I'm back here at PRI, College Initiative, up by John Jay. In the room with me is my beautiful sister, Ebony.
Hello.
Academic advisor here at PRI. Introduce yourself, Ebony.
Good evening, everyone. Well, if you move over and give me some space.
We in here.
So my name is Ebony Brown. Maybe I shouldn't even have said all that. However, I am the senior academic counselor working for College Initiative, which is a college access program. And we work with individuals who've ever faced any type of criminal justice involvement. We try to get them enrolled into school. We take care so much more. It's a lot more than that. But my piece is really just working with individuals and getting them enrolled into school, being able to navigate the CUNY system.
Also in the room with me, but don't want to be on camera, Estefania. Introduce yourself, Stephanie.
So my name is Estefania Paredes. I am the College Initiative Program Associate. So my role specifically is to provide all the academic counselors and anyone in the College Initiative team with support. I also manage the correspondence with in-state and out-of-state facilities, so that work is very rewarding. And as Ebony said, we're just here to support everyone who has a history with the criminal justice system to thrive and overcome any obstacles they may face.
Lit.
Absolutely.
So you know where we at. I'm a part of this. This is my family here, and I'm glad to have y'all with me today. I am so and Steph. So 2 weeks ago, 2 Fridays ago, I was getting on the train up on Utica Avenue, and I wrote a conversation with this young lady. She was on the phone with her homegirl, telling her how her boyfriend, who was black and Latino, was telling her how black women weren't good to build relationships with, and how white women and Latino women are better off to build relationships with. And you know, right there for me was like a straw that broke the camel's back, because I've had that mindset myself in the recent past with females that I've dealt with, and it's a bad mindset to have. And I do understand that in order to break that cycle, we have to start this conversation. And so as a black female and as a Latina female in the room with me, I want to know, what do y'all think on why we as a people can't build strong relationships and foundations as a community, black and Latinos. It's historically known that we can't build together. Family structure has been damaged throughout slavery and throughout other repercussions from tools put in place throughout history by the oppressor. But we're in 2020 now, so we need to actually address these issues, and ain't no one else going to have these conversations for us. So we got to start these conversations ourselves. So we're from the hood. We've been through things, and we're from these backgrounds. So the best place to start is right here with us. So.
But just to piggyback off what you just said, I firmly believe that you really just answered your own question. Because the way society has been in the past, how it is now, shit is still rolling, shit is still the same. And I think a lot of our African American, black and brown people, Latinos as well, many of them are incarcerated. That's one. So the structure in there is completely different than the structure that's out here. So when they actually come out to reintegrate and, be a part of, with their families or trying to create families and build relationships, it can be difficult.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like people have their own aspects of life, have their own aspects of certain things. And PTSD is real. People really are, suffering, and trauma is real.
Yes.
And when you have someone who's been out here in the outside world and know that this world is completely different than what it is in the inside, the two just won't mix unless there's, and there also has to be boundaries and stuff like that. I don't know if you want to elaborate some more.
Yeah, definitely, because that was a point that I had a series of points I wanted to touch upon, being a Hispanic woman, and definitely recognizing that like some African American guys have that preference and why they treat us that way. But you brought up a really good point about the criminal justice system in itself and how it affects these relationships. So what came to mind for me, and you can both correct me if I'm wrong, is let's say you are a black male, you just served 10 years in prison, right? And you just got out, right? When you came in, you had your preference for, black females. And then you come out and you kind of have, on one side, you have the stigmatization of being in prison. But then when you go to the hood, you get that respect, right? So do you feel like that experience in itself alters the partners that they may select? Or offers, or like kind of impacts their dating pool? Does their dating pool get bigger does it get smaller? Who's attracted to them? Who's not attracted to them based off of that criminal background?
That's a deep question.
It is a deep question. It's a great point as well.
So to just jump on that real quick, as a male who served around 10 to 12 years of incarceration time, for the most part, when we're in there, we have magazines for those of us who aren't married and who aren't getting conjugal visits. And if you're behind the G-wall, which is the maximum facilities where you can get conjugal visits, if you're not having any access or contact with a female, if it ain't an officer, if you're paying money to have access with this officer, and you're not performing manual what's the word?
Self-love.
Self-love. For lack of a better word right now, but if you're not doing that and you're utilizing magazines like Buttmans and BBIs and Nasties and
so
things
forth,
like that, where the image in there is not always of black women, you understand? So we're going to see more Latinas in the porn industry. So coming from incarceration to the street, yes, it is altering our preferences because we're seeing these images in these magazines where these women have these amazing bodies. And you know, now you have today with the video vixens and these social models who are going to have these
And that
bodies.
needs to change, right? And it's always like, not to cut you off, but to each his own. It is what it is. People's getting surgery, doing their whole entire body, face, everything. Like, it is what it is. But I do feel that, and even with women as well, it's okay to have a preference.
Right.
But to disrespect and to betrayal and, you know, to be treating someone, if you are in a relationship and you feel like, all right, this is a person that I love, this is a person that I want to be with, then that's what it is. But to be doing both parts is totally disrespectful. You have to choose. You have men out here who want to play the husband role, right? And want everything that they desire. Like, a guy can be incarcerated and that they're in a vulnerable state, so he's going to tell you everything it is that he wants, everything that you want to hear, and it's great. But it's manipulation and it's mind control, and that's disrespectful for me. You can come out and say, yeah, when I come home, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And the real test is when that individual is actually here, and that shit changes. So everybody that's running around in a strip club, they got 1,000 followers on Instagram, they got these mermaid bodies and fucking Barbie bodies and shit is not real. But like I said, to each his own. That's what they want, as far as like to stroke their ego, I guess, or whatever. But they also they want the woman who's, you know, stable, who's doing for herself, who's going to be able to take care of him. But to have both is not, you can't have both.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, and that's never going to be possible. And that's one of the things that we have to realize and acknowledge. But in order to reach that point, we have to address all the issues that we face. And y'all raise beautiful points. And honestly, I hope y'all have a bunch of comments at the end of this video. But you know, for the most part, Eb and Steph, we have all these individuals coming from these messed up backgrounds and these messed up situations, and we're looking at these things with these blinders on, or these special glasses, these goggles that make things look better than what it really is. Because we know that the grass is not always green on the other side of the fence, right? So we have a lot of, especially with the youth, and this is really what the channel is for, because I don't want this conversation to stop here in this room at the end of this video. I want this conversation to continue on with your significant other, you know, with your children, because we have to expand that knowledge and let them know that, listen, we came from greatness. Our ancestors are the Taínos, the Caribs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Olmecs, the Africans, the Egyptians. These are our ancestors.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? And to descend from greatness, kings, queens, royalty, and to be subjugated to a class where we really have no role in society, that's not us. And we've built societies up after that, after slavery, post-slavery. We've had Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, 1960, 1921. We had Rosewood, Florida. We've had other areas, and then we've also led great revolutions, Toussaint Louverture and the Haitian Revolution against the French. You know, we've had a lot of victories, and we've had a lot of accolades done in throughout society and throughout history.
And
but they're not teaching us that in history. So not knowing that as a people is what's really a part of the factor that's keeping us down.
And what's key to, you know, highlight that point that you just made is that we did it together.
Right.
We did it as a family unit. We did it as a community. It was not, oh, black men are this and black women are that. You know, so to illustrate what Mike was just saying, you know, nothing of greatness will be accomplished if we do not stick together.
Have to.
So to kind of bring it back to the original conversation, which is I presumed relationships, you know, in Black and Hispanic culture. There's a gossip forum I like to visit from time to time. It's called Lipstick Alley, right?
Okay.
And they love talking about how bad Black men are and whatnot, right? So what they're saying is that Black men prefer white and Spanish women, and that leaves nothing for Black women. That leaves a smaller dating pool for Black women, right? So the dating pool that they're stuck with is basically the rejects. I don't like that point of view. I think it's a disgusting point of view.
Oh,
but I do
absolutely.
think that there is something inherent in that Black women are suffering,
Of course.
you know, from these changing, I guess, attractions.
Because a lot of we're strong-willed and powerful women. Like we can accomplish and get through. Many of us can accomplish and get through a lot of shit that happens. And I think tolerating nonsense and being mistreated is just one of the characteristics that we refuse to tolerate. So a guy wants someone who's going to be like a yes man and submissive. So I feel like, and not to, you know, come at anyone saying that white women, you know, they're just like, okay, yes, I'll do this. No, it's not even that.
But that's
You got
how
Black
they're
women
portrayed in the
But that's how they,
media, yeah,
exactly.
of course.
And it's wrong. It's just that some men don't appreciate a Black woman for whatever the reason may be. I don't know if it has something to do with youth, you know, if they have to really evaluate themselves. And I do feel like a lot of individuals are, it's trauma, like they are not going to get therapy or, you know, I don't know. Like I always try to figure it out. You always, and I've been telling you this before for the longest, like I feel like you have to, it doesn't just happen. Like you have to go all the way to the very beginning from the womb, because the kids they suffer, you know what I'm saying? It's micro, it's macro, the community suffers. Like how does it impact the individual?
Right.
You gotta really think about that.
Gangster.
Yeah.
That's gangster.
So what are your thoughts on
So
that?
on that note, with that right there being said, it's something that you really have to
How to look at that.
come to the
Yeah, it's
forefront.
real. They're
and-
saying
and
that.
think.
Oh, I'm gonna let you finish.
Sorry.
You really have to come out to the forefront and think about that, because it's like we have too many, like the trauma is real. And I know for me, and on the I have issues with my mother. So, you know, when I look at Black women, if there's something that I find wrong with them, I visualize my mother. So technically, I don't usually go out here looking for relationships with Black women, because I don't want that to, you know, be what my children look like. You understand? Like, you know, our first experience with love it comes from the household. It comes from our mothers and our fathers, right? So if you have a bad experience coming up as a child, that reflects how you look at women going forward. And you know, it's not
Or
a right
men.
men going forward, and it's not a right thing, because a lot of the views and the things that we internalize are always the wrong things, and we don't learn that until it's later on, and we done hurt a million females or a million men done had their heart broken. So it's a whole lot of hurt people out here running around hurting other people because of one thing that happened to them. So we have to address that. Yes, we do need to address the mental health issue on that, because the trauma, again, as you made that valid issue, is real. However, as Black and Latino men in these communities, we don't want to go talk to no doctor. Like, doc, what you know about me?
Yeah, because a lot of people, you can't, I think it's okay to do so. It's like the work that we do, we tell students all the time, like, hey, if you feel like you are struggling or need assistance with something, go to the counselor, you know, the counselor's department, and have a conversation with them. It doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with you.
Right.
I think it's okay to just have a one-on-one conversation, especially with an outsider, just to see what it is that may be bothering you. Or if you have someone who's constantly keep telling you, like, yo, I think something is going on, or I think something is wrong. You're like, no, ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, no, I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm good. Everyone suffers from whatever it may be. It can be incarceration. It can just be a dysfunctional household. It can be the work environment. It can be anything. And I think people really need to, you know, actually reevaluate themselves, think about what their issues may be, because it's affecting a lot of people around you, especially the ones that try to help. That's the worst too.
Right.
You have individuals who try to help, who's on your side, who try to make shit happen, and then you just dismiss them. But it's like you got to prove a point to validate to other people for what, and they're not even the ones out there doing things for you.
So I want to bring up a point that I don't know what was it that you just said, but it made me think of it. and I'm trying to make comparisons between other races. So what I've noticed as a Hispanic woman, and I'm sure you have too, is that in our relationships we often fulfill that counselor role, that void, that mother void. We want to build our men up, but if you look at Asian couples or you look at white couples, it kind of looks like they pick partners that are at the same playing field, So do you think it's because we come from communities that are impoverished and that are very oppressed that us women don't mind being counselors for our boyfriends when really we shouldn't have that role?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I don't know if I'm clear in what I'm trying to say.
No, you're clear. I definitely concur. Like, I believe that.
It makes sense, but we have to remember that relationships are continuous conversations between two people. So, when you're in relationships, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, whether it's a marriage, this is an ongoing conversation. It's not perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. It's a work in progress. So it's an ongoing thing. So we can't just expect things to be over the minute we bag the female or the male that we're looking at and that we think is going to be, my soulmate. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, we also got to recognize that we're dealing with a society that's putting extraordinary labels out there. You have women that look amazing, surgically bought